Welcome back to Dying Light 2. I'm about to take a brief hiatus from streaming for about a week, but I had to do this one last stream because I just got to the point in Dying Light 2 where I unlocked a few new mechanics that I have been waiting to see for quite some time. If you look at the map here, there's a couple of things that are now available. One thing is fast travel. I can actually use metro stations. They've been sitting here on my map for a really, really long time. In fact, there's a spot right here that I know contains a metro station that persistently turns back into a question mark whenever I leave it for any length of time. And so I'm assuming that I can unlock a metro station over here if I do something. I'm not sure how it works. So now that they're here, and the reason they're here is because I just crossed through the tunnels to the southern part of the city, which is, a whole big deal that I've yet to discover. There's a bunch of untrodden terrain out here. So I think one of the reasons why they need fast travel is because there's this basically story mission that bridges the gap between these two areas. And so if I want to ever be able to get back home, I need to have fast travel. So the metro system is up and working now, so I can use that for fast travel. That's great. The other thing is there's an electrical substation, which is a special kind of mission, very similar to a water tower, but different, that I just completed. And it turns out there is another one that's been waiting for me over here in this area for quite some time. So I wanted to try to, explore those two aspects of the game real quick in a video, so you can sort of see, because this is one of the odd things about Dying Light 2 for me, is the fact that, a lot of open world games just put stuff on the horizon and say, hey, you see that thing over there? Go over there and find out what that is. And when you get there and you start exploring it, you'll find out the steps you need to complete it. You'll figure out what you're missing, and you can sort of almost work backwards from destinations on the horizon to figure out how the game works. But Dying Light 2 doesn't work that way. Dying Light 2 has a lot of things you can see on the horizon, and you've got no clue what role those things are going to play in the game, and until you get to an arbitrary point in the story. And so I've been wondering about electric substations in the metro for a really long time and had no idea what they were. So if you've been curious about that and you're early on in your progression through Dying Light 2, maybe this video will help you get a sense of what's going on later on in the game. So Mr. Xbox Series S points out that this map looks massive. Oh, it absolutely is. Yeah, a lot of the, just traveling across one of these districts takes a lot of sort of clever parkouring and effort. And there's multiple districts here in the north, and then even more districts down here in the south. So yeah, I'm having I'm having a good time with this. It's certainly not the scale of a game that you traverse by car or by plane. Games that are built for that kind of scale have maps that are much larger, but given that you're always moving at sort of at running pace at the absolute maximum, yeah, it is pretty big. So the first thing that I want to do, though, before I do any of that other stuff, is show off another feature that that was just unlocked for me, which is my glider. So I can now dive off just about anything and land safely, which is nice. And actually, if I find a spot that's got updrafts, I can use those updrafts to actually gain a lot of, to gain some height over time and gain a lot of horizontal distance. And so, there have been a lot of places where I've just been terrified to parkour too recklessly because I was worried that if I did, I could easily sort of just accidentally launch myself off a cliff and just die with no recourse. Now I've got a recourse. If I catch myself falling, I can hold the X button and let my hang glider out. And then it's just up to me to use the hang glider effectively once it's out. But I can't really use it from down here on the ground. And rather than climbing up to show it to you again, let's try something I've never tried before, which is fast travel. So I want to head back to the old area. So I'm going to highlight this one metro station here. And actually, can you also fast travel? Oh, you can also fast travel to the PK base over here in Quarry's End. I wonder if you can fast travel somewhere over here. I don't see a place that looks like it's meant to be a fast travel location, but maybe there is one. Anyway, I know this is one, so let's hold X and see what happens. And we fade down. And I arrive where? Here at the... Oh, okay, so I can actually fast travel in person at a metro station too. I don't just have to use the map, though. I mean, obviously, the map seems like the more convenient option. Actually, should I poke around here and see if there's anything? Now that this place is open. Ooh, there's an audio tape down here. And a few searchables. Nothing that seems incredibly important, though. So let's head back up the stairs and see where this lets us out. So I'm right here. So yeah, I'm basically exactly where I wanted to be. So now let's go look at this spot, because I'm pretty sure that this spot over here is another metro station. So let's find out what it takes to make that... Okay, I seriously can't even climb this. Whatever. Let's go see what that metro station is all about and what I need to do in order to make it useful. Is there something I can do right now? Oh, excuse me, sir. You seem to be attacking me. Let me just take care of that for you. Oh, we've got a bunch of people who've joined me in the chat. Let me try to catch up here a little bit. So Zzaster123 asks, what game is this? So this is Dying Light 2, the sequel to Dying Light 1, which was, I don't remember when it came out. It came out a little while ago. I think it was when we were still working on State of Decay 2. So it's been a while. So this game, it is definitely, an expansion and an improvement of over, all the stuff that was going on in Dying Light 1. They've also really focused on the story, on, having sort of this branching narrative where you sort of decide which factions take control over this city. And the story does take a lot of time, and a lot of sort of the backbone of the game is built around the story. And so it's one of these trade-offs where I assume, because, we got a lot of criticism in State of Decay 2 that our story was very thin, I imagine that Dying Light 1, which was also, an open-world zombie survival simulator, and by the way, I believe that I might have the volume turned up a little bit high, so it might be hard to hear me over the intense music. Let me fix that. I imagine they might have gotten similar criticisms. And so it feels like with Dying Light 2, they've really focused on making sure that the story is sort of a central pillar of the game. And they even made a big deal of hiring a famous game writer early on, though I think they've de-emphasized his involvement in recent years. But they really made a big deal out of it. And so you can see that a lot of their choices have been framed around the desire to sort of tell this compelling story. And there is definitely a lot of story there. It does come at a cost, though, which is that the game itself, like a lot of the more mechanical elements, are dependent on the story. They're unlocked by the story. They rely on you sort of pursuing the story in order for them to pop up. And so as a player who tends to engage in open world games more on a mechanical level, more on a systemic level, it's a little bit harder for me. It often feels like the story is an arbitrary obstacle in the way of me engaging with the systemic aspects of the game. Now, it helped, the story is actually fine. It's not like The Last of Us level production values, but it's interesting. The characters are sort of, well drawn, and, and the problems, the situations they get into are interesting. And okay, so here is a metro station. So metro stations can serve as fast travel locations. Oh, I should finish my thought though. So I don't mind it, but just as an open world player who tends to engage systemically in these games, for me, like I often get impatient with like, okay, I've got to do so many story missions before I can get to the next mechanical expansion of the game, and it starts to feel a little bit like it slows down. But I think for some players for whom the story is the central aspect of the experience, this is probably a big step up for them. So it's always tough when you're developing a game like this that is trying to be so many things to so many people, is that it's almost impossible for you to do something one person likes without also making it a drag on somebody else, and finding that balance can be really, really difficult. Oh, so we got some folks in the chat who are talking about Update 29 for State of Decay 2, which just launched. I actually just barely downloaded it right before this update, so I'm looking forward to my new State of Decay 2 video series benefiting from the facelift that Meager Valley just got. So yeah, Z Pekin says Drucker is looking clean now that the update is out. Great job, guys. Drucker actually might have been my favorite improvement. Because of the way they turned all the rocks red. Let me actually read this. So, metro stations can serve as fast travel locations, but currently they're controlled by either infected or bandits. To activate the station, you need to turn on the main switch in the electrical room. Beware, there will be enemies along the way. You'll need to either kill or avoid them. Sometimes there will be no electricity inside the station. In that case, you need to first locate and activate the backup generators in the generator room. Okay, so I don't know what I need to do here first. but the music is telling me this is an exciting place to be. And, oh, you've entered a dark zone. Come back at night when the infected are out in the streets. Ooh, okay. So hold on a second. So if this is one of those places that is going to be a disaster if I come in during the day, but it'll be okay if I come in at night, maybe I should save it for later. Maybe I should actually go do the other thing I came here to do, which is the electrical substation. So let's do that. Since it's daytime anyway, let's go do the electrical substation, and then we'll come back to the metro some other time. So the electrical substation. So earlier on, in a previous video, in fact, I think it was actually the last video that I published, I went and claimed my first water tower, which was an opportunity to grant ownership over the territory to a particular faction. I granted it to the Survivors faction because I really liked the parkour unlocks that they offered better than I liked the stuff that I saw from the PKs. And also thematically, I think the PKs, the sort of cop-focused group, or cop-themed group, they seem like they've got everything they need. I don't feel like they need my help, whereas the Survivors feel like they're struggling a lot more without my involvement. So I feel like granting things to the Survivors just feels more satisfying. Oh, it looks like here's a cliff we might want to run off. So let's just see if we can actually drift all the way onto this other roof. Yes, it looks like we can. Okay, so there's a huge... So anyway, so that's how you you unlock sort of major rewards for yourself, and also sort of shape the story of the game. Who gets to control this map, this city, over who else? So this electrical substation is how I claimed this particular territory on the map. But here's the problem. It's surrounded by these extremely toxic chemicals. I'm not sure how easy the end... Okay, it looks like there's an entrance over here. Good. So... Wait, who's coming after me? Who's out here in the... Really? Okay. Eat chemicals. I actually don't know if the chemicals affect NPCs or not. Yeah, you better run. Alright, anyway. So the only electrical substation I did was primarily... Oh, what are you doing here? How did you get here? Oh gosh, this whole place is just deadly. Oh, he just... Yes! Okay, the chemicals do affect the enemies. Anyway. So electrical substations, they're puzzles. They're like geometric puzzles, which is kind of neat. The first one, most of my effort initially in the first electrical substation that I went into just getting into the substation. And so I'm assuming... Oh, no! Okay, apparently that was not what I was supposed to do. I don't... Okay, well, why is that yellow blanket there if I can't get up there? Oh, that's weird. Okay, anyway. Getting into the building is the first challenge. So we're gonna focus on that first, and then there's also a puzzle you have to solve once you're inside. Let me catch up with the chat just a little bit. So, Zedzaster was wondering, because, Dying Light 2 really, really doubled down on storytelling. They're wondering if State of Decay 3 is going to do something similar. I obviously cannot answer any questions about State of Decay 3, so I can't give you anything solid to go on. But, we've definitely taken to heart the criticism that State of Decay 1 got, where, a lot of players felt like just there wasn't really a story at all. And that really, our focus was on the mechanical elements of the game, trying to make it feel like it was your story that you were telling and not some story that we had authored. And I think that sense that we really want it to be your story, I think is going to continue. I think that's an important part of the franchise, but there are better and worse ways to handle story in that context. And so I think that we probably can theoretically do a better job of... What is up there? A better job of managing story in that context than we did in State of Decay 2. So, I think there's definitely improvements we could make. And so if you're looking for improvements, I think that there's a good chance that State of Decay 3 would do a better job. How exactly it would do a better job, though, I don't know. We're gonna try hard and see see what we can accomplish. There's a lot of different ways you can do a better job of storytelling in a video game, and I'm definitely not in a position to give you any details on what strategy we'd use in the next State of Decay. All right, so I don't know why I'm up here. This might actually have absolutely nothing to do with with the electrical substation. This tower that I'm climbing just might be about something else entirely. I genuinely have no idea. Also, what happens if I jump to this? Okay. Oh, no! Oh, okay. Whatever that was didn't work. Let me try again. All right. Okay, let's... Okay, I can get to the top of this. And then what? This seems like this is not what I'm actually trying to do here. It's a lovely POV. I mean, I don't know. Can I, like, use my my binoculars from here and see something I want to see? Something. Oh, there's an individual person way over there that apparently I can detect. I think that this area, I've already basically seen everything with the binoculars that I'm going to be able to see. So I don't think this is going to be useful. I don't know why I've done this. I think that maybe I should go do something else. Scott Lannon asks how I feel about the slide move in this game being hidden behind a perk. He says he feels like that feels like a basic move. That's always a difficult thing, honestly, when you're trying to come up with an unlocking scheme for a game. It's figuring out like what feels like baseline functionality and what feels like an upgrade. Because in a lot of cases, you know, what you're really trying to do is give players sort of the excitement of parceling out access to something. Like, ooh, I can reach a thing I couldn't reach before. That's exciting. And also you want to sort of like have a simple world at the outset, at the very beginning, where the player doesn't have to, like, you know, comprehend the entire game all at once. But then slowly over time unlock, you know, more complex elements of the game, and also just give them more, you know, geographic access. I don't know if this is a thing I want to do. Oh gosh, and so I'm not actually sure. I don't think that the slide really unlocked all that much. Like all the things that I could slide under, like I guess there were points early in the game where if I was being chased, going under a low obstacle... Oh, here's the entrance. Going under a low obstacle was slow. And now sliding under it is fast. But the difference isn't so huge that you know, that unlocking the slide is a big relief. So I don't know. Like, it's one of those things where I feel like it doesn't feel like we gain much from that being an unlockable, but we also don't lose much from it being an unlockable. It feels almost like it was just kind of an arbitrary choice. So yeah, so I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion about it one way or the other, actually. Which is, you know, that was a lot of words to just say that. Okay, so here we are in a substation. So the way this place works is, you see like that little red 2 down there? I'm trying to connect a green 2 to a red 2 with a cable. And that sounds reasonable in theory. It looks like this one, though, is full of chemicals. It could actually be that we're about to find out that I can't do this at all, that there's some upgrade that I need or something that will make it possible for me to complete this. But let's... So right now, it feels like there's not a lot of places I can go. In fact, okay, this door looks like it can only be unlocked from one side. Yeah, it's only unlocked from the inside. But, oh, okay, here's a way one step down. Okay, so the first step is just figuring out my way around this place. It looks like just jumping down into the middle of it is a bad idea. The way the air is warbling like that, I'm pretty sure something down there can kill me. Oh, gosh, yeah. Okay, so it looks like this is sort of standard chemicals. I was worried this was going to be the kill you in 3 seconds chemicals from outside. But this is actually more standard chemicals. So that means, as long as I've got shrooms on hand, I can probably survive this. But I'm going to need to move fast and figure out what's going on. So, okay, so I'm down in chemical land. This is going to be trying to kill me quickly. Here is... Okay, there's number 1. It's right there. What else do we have? Let's take stock. Looks like there's not much in there. Is it? Yeah, I don't... Oh, there... Oh, wait. There's some fancy stuff on the other side of these chemicals through a vent. Now, one... Oh, and the vent is also blocked off. Oh, here we go. All right. I mean, so this feels like a distraction, but it's not quite a distraction because for some reason, and I'm actually not sure what the reasoning is, all of the loot in an electrical substation actually goes away after you complete the puzzle. So if you want to get to benefit from loot, you actually have to do it. You have to grab it as a part of the process of completing the puzzle. You can't just come back later after everything's resolved. So there's number 2 down there. There's red 2. And, oh yay, shrooms. This is where I came from, isn't it? Let's see. So I don't see a way to get in through here. Let me poke around. I'm craning my head down like that's going to change my ability to see the screen. Okay, it looks like there's a door in there, so maybe I can come in here from a lower level? Before we go downstairs further, let's... I don't remember these stairs. There might be something up here I couldn't reach. Okay, so here is another door locked from the inside. I don't see a way through. Does this room do anything? It looks like probably not. Except there's shrooms in it! Yay! Okay, so I think we might need to go one more step down. Oh, but there was actually respite from... Okay, that's what that room was for. It's a room without chemicals in it. Okay, so there's number 2. I haven't seen a 3, so it could be that there's only 2 cables I have to connect. Okay, so I come in here. Are these openable? Doesn't look like it. But here's a ladder I haven't climbed yet. This might take me up inside one of those difficult to get into areas. Yes, okay, so this is one of the areas I couldn't get to. I don't see anything cool in here. Except this ladder. Yeah, my body's not happy about what I'm doing right now. Okay, here is number 1. And here is a door I can open. Anything else in this room that I want to grab? Looks like not. Okay, so here's the cable. So I grab the cable, and I've got 34 meters of cable that I can use. And there is number 1 down there. Now let's... I'm pretty sure this is going to illustrate how this works. So if I go down the normal route, I come up short just before I reach the 1. You can see that my, down below me, I've run out of cable, so I can't reach. So I can't take the normal route. And so that's what makes this particular type of puzzle very appropriate for Dying Light 2, because even though I'm inside of a building solving a, sort of a slow geometric puzzle, I'm actually having to solve it with parkour, which is very, very Dying Light 2. Okay, so now that I've taken the more direct route, I made it with 3 meters to spare, and we can turn on number 1. Now, let me... Was it up here where I had that room where I was able to recover from infection? No, okay. I thought I recovered completely from infection somewhere. I thought it was here. Is there not... Oh, maybe the sun went down. Oh, the sun went down outside. So yeah, I think that there actually was, light coming in somewhere that recharged me, but now there's no light coming in. So now I'm going to be reliant on my shrooms in order to sort of keep my infection meter up. So Malatour has a question, while I'm sitting here eating shrooms, has a question about the State of Decay franchise. They say, I know you can't talk specifics, but in general, when a studio is developing or updating 2 versions of a game, do the ideas flow between the teams? So an idea for the new game can be added into the current, or are they kind of walled off? So if you've put together your studio in a clever way, yeah, there should be constant communication between your different teams. They should be benefiting from each other's ideas. And also, I mean, another thing that you didn't quite say, but that is also a factor, is the idea that, if you're working in the same franchise, you're going to be naturally converging on a lot of the same solutions to problems. Because you're sort of, okay, that's the ladder I took before. So like, and this is locked from the inside, huh? So like, if you're both asking questions about like, what's the best way for infestations to work, for instance, you're both going to be solving the same questions within the same franchise, and even if you don't communicate, you'll often come to the same conclusions. And that's a thing that I've observed on our team, is that a lot of the time, we'll be solving problems independently from each other and then come to extremely similar conclusions, and like, we should have coordinated on this, but it turned out we managed to pull it off, seeming like we're coordinated, even though we weren't coordinating well enough. So that can happen. If everybody's on the same page about, what your franchise is, what its goals are, what the pillars of the franchise are, then it's actually not that uncommon for you to just sort of develop similar solutions to the same problems, even without coordinating. But yeah, you absolutely should coordinate. You should be aware of what everybody else is doing. But one thing you have to think about, though, is like, for instance, if there's a particular feature that is meant to be, a major thing that, say, a sequel is trying to get right and is trying to, make one of its, hallmark features, do you get more of a benefit from avoiding that area with the previous game, so that the new game can sort of make a big splash and can do it right, rather than sort of like, half-assing it basically with a game that doesn't have as much capacity to make big revolutionary changes, or is it actually to your benefit to try to do sort of an early version of the feature in the old game, so that the new game can learn from what the old game is tries out? You could really make an argument in either direction that one or the other of those ideas might be the right move. So I'm trying to figure out how to effectively use this thing, because it's swinging, but it's not swinging very far. So it feels like, so I can climb up this, but I actually was not sure I could make it across to the other side. Every yellow door is locked from the inside. Okay, but I do see, there's the other green switch. So the question is, how do I get there? It feels like, I didn't see this. This is how I cross this. So yeah, I'm definitely not revealing anything about State of Decay 3 when I talk about sort of the decision-making process and how it works, and all these different settings, because, there's a lot of different specific features I could be talking about. But one thing we don't want to do is like, it would be very easy to say, we shouldn't do anything with State of Decay 2 that State of Decay 3 is doing, because we want State of Decay 3 to make the biggest possible splash. But I don't think that's really the right way to think about it, because, I mean, I don't know. If there's an area of the game, like, if you can make State of Decay 2 better in a way that everyone wants it to get better, and you would make a really similar change in State of Decay 3, I mean, there's no reason to, like, artificially delay that. Like, we should go ahead and make State of Decay 2 as good as we possibly can. And then if we can make it even better with State of Decay 3, then awesome. That's just good across the board for everybody. Okay, so it looks like I can actually drop all the way down here and plug it in. Okay, this is apparently a very, very chemical spill type area. Let's see if I can get out of... Have the chemicals gotten worse? I feel like the chemicals have gotten worse. Or have I just... Maybe I just let my meter get a little bit too low. Oh, Z Peekins asks, just curious and a bit off topic, have you guys thought about adding icons to the Clio weapons, the same way we just added them to Red Talon and the network? And yeah, we absolutely have thought about that. What we did with the adding icons to the Red Talon network weapons was just, it was a first step, but I absolutely could see us adding icons to new categories of weapons down the line. Okay, so I need to activate the electrical substation, but okay, so the last substation I was in had um what are they called? The inhibitors. It had inhibitors, and I wanted to make sure that I claimed the inhibitors before potentially, yeah, getting rid of them by activating the substation. But, looking at my, like, the little hot and cold mechanic that I've got down at the bottom left of the screen, I think I'm just barely within reach of some inhibitors here. I don't think they're actually inside the building. So I think if I go to the control room and activate the substation, I don't think I'll lose those inhibitors. I think I'm good. But let's see. So now that I've sort of turned on the internal power, I guess, now the elevator works, I can come up to the control room. And I'm still 46 meters away. 50 meters away from the inhibitors. So I think they're probably like this direction through this wall. Yeah, I think that the inhibitors that I'm detecting is somewhere else. So I think I feel okay about activating this facility and losing the loot. Oh, Caprain Jardin points out that they don't think that inhibitors fall into the same category as the other loot. That they actually, even if there were inhibitors in this building, I would probably still be able to get them, even if I complete it. That makes sense, actually. Inhibitors are such a core upgradable thing that actually makes a lot of sense. You're probably right. Okay, so in general, I've been giving things to survivors. I think I'm going to keep doing that. Because I like the idea of having like ultimate zip lines scattered throughout the entire world, and a bunch of extra air vents to hang glide on, and a bunch of upgraded airbags to bounce on. So since I'm into that, I think I just want to keep giving things to the survivors. I think this is going to be just an all survivors run. Whenever you have to make moral or factional choices in a game like that, where there's big rewards at the far end of the upgrade tree, it always feels like trying to make nuanced decisions about, giving some things to the survivors and some things to the PKs, or like making some orange choices and some blue choices in Mass Effect. Like, it always feels like that's a bad choice. Like the only good strategic choice is to make all the same choices, all the same color-coded choices again and again and again throughout a story. And that kind of annoys me a little bit. Like I don't love that. I prefer, like for instance, there's a really interesting choice in Mass Effect 2 where you decide whether you want to convert or destroy the Geth. And converting them is basically subverting their free will in this really disturbing way. But killing them is also bad. And it's a really interesting nuanced choice you have to really think about. Except one of the choices is labeled orange and the other one is labeled blue. So you just, if you're on an orange playthrough or a blue playthrough, you just have to make the right choice if you want to unlock everything down that path. And that was very frustrating to me because I wanted to make a nuanced choice there. And to add to that the fact that I actually think they got the blue and the orange wrong. I think that the blue choice, the blue choice of enslaving the Geth should have been the orange choice. And the orange choice of killing the Geth should have been the blue choice. Partly just because they framed the blue and orange choice as being about acceptability to other members of the galaxy, whether you're going your own as the humans, or whether you're, trying to sort of make nice with the rest of the galaxy. So doing what the rest of the galaxy expects you to do, and what they want you to do, feels like that should usually be the blue choice. And going renegade should be the orange choice. Doing, like, weird things should be the orange choice. So I actually think they flipped it. So I was frustrated by that choice because I wanted it to be about the decision and not about the colors. And so this is a similar case where it's like, part of me wants to think about, each of these choices. Oh, who do I think will make the best use out of this resource? The PKs or the survivors? And part of me wants that decision to be nuanced. But because there's rewards down either of those choices, I feel like if I've chosen a late game reward that I want to get, that means that I have to choose, nothing but survivors or nothing but PKs in order to chase those down. By the way, you'll notice that once I claimed that electrical substation, a bunch of new survivor missions popped up over here. And so it's a bunch of, it looks like some parkour challenges, maybe some stories. I don't know. I'll have to find out what these are. But that's really interesting. So I actually thought that I had tapped this area completely out of side quest content, but apparently I haven't. Apparently there's a bunch more stuff for me to discover. So that's pretty cool. Anyway. Oh, so Z Peekins is playing Update 29 of State of Decay 2. It says he's been loving breaking fences for the past 10 minutes. So we just added the ability for heavy weapons to break breakable objects like fences and signs and stuff like that. And so I'm glad that you're enjoying that, Z Peekins. I don't know how long that pleasure is going to last, but I'm glad that people can enjoy it. That idea came from one of our collaborators at Valkyrie, who, we're our contract with Valkyrie is over, and so they're going to move on to working on other games and stuff. But we really owe them a lot. They had a lot of really great ideas for improving the game, both visually and mechanically. So I'm really glad that they got involved. Hey there, Dovagul. Thanks for joining us. So, so that electrical substation, that was what I wanted to share in this particular episode. So now that it's nighttime, I think I am going to go on to clearing out the metro station. But let's wrap up this episode first. So if you're watching this later on YouTube, I'm going to stick a subscribe button right there so you can subscribe to my channel. The next video that I make, which is going to be me exploring a metro station, is going to go there. So you can click that if you want to stick with us.